Hello UL, my name is Mollie DeMoor and I graduated from UL in 2016 with a master's degree in public history. At the time, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my degree, but I did know that I wanted to do something with history, but like in my hands, sort of like work in a museum or even archaeology or just anything. Because I don't think I would have been content just teaching history. But I do think that public history isn't something that's very widely known, at least not yet. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the opportunities that are out there that maybe you might not know about, or maybe you've never heard about, and maybe it'll get you interested and pumped up to maybe get this degree. So when I was at UL, I started an internship at the Avery Island Archives, McElhinney Company in New Iberia. And it was meant to just be a 3-month internship as part of my normal coursework. But I ended up loving it so much, and I got along with the curator, Dr. Bernard so well, that he ended up offering me it wasn't full-time just yet, but I was offered a position there a couple days a week just while I finished out my degree. And once I did graduate, he offered me a full-time position, so I was one of the lucky ones, got a job right out of grad school. But I was there for about 3 years until I moved to the UK, where I am now. I moved to the UK for reasons unrelated to my career or my degree or anything like that, but once I was here, I really had to start thinking about doing that step of applying for jobs, because I kind of skipped that step right after I got my degree. And right now I work for the Bodleian Library in Oxford, in England, and unfortunately, I can't show you inside. It's actually not allowed to take videos or photographs inside, especially not inside the archives bit where all of the documents are stored, unfortunately. So I'm just going to be able to show you pictures of sort of the outside of where I work. But it's beautiful anyway, so hopefully you enjoy that a little bit. It's better than nothing. But at the Bodleian, I mostly deal with archives and modern manuscripts in the special collections department. So I deal with cataloging, box listing, moving collections from one location to another, so I help with that paperwork. I also help to rebox, reorganize, basically my dream job. I'm a very organized person, and this job definitely encompasses everything that I enjoy about working with history. And then since it's in England at the Bodleian Library, everything is incredibly old. I've had the opportunity to work in the medieval books and the rare books, which has been really amazing for someone interested in public history and archives and history in general. But I will say that COVID-19 had a massive impact on my job in particular, because I was only at the Bodleian for about 3 months before England went into lockdown, so I was really working from home for a large chunk of my job, and I couldn't exactly do my job from home. Like, I couldn't work in the archives without the archives. I needed the physical papers because I work with the papers in hand all the time, constantly. And so when I was working from home, which was for about 5 months, I mostly helped working on one of the catalogs, which this catalog was made, 30, 40, even 50 years ago. And I helped to digitize that catalog. So it wasn't what I would typically do, but it was actually a good opportunity to learn something new, because I don't think I would have done that otherwise. So it kind of introduced me to a new part of the archives that I'd never done, and like I said, might never have done. since the library that I work at is a reference library, we don't allow people in without appointments, or unless you're a student, or unless you're like a graduate student or a PhD student who needs research from the library. You can't leave the library with anything in your hands. And so I wouldn't say that that has been drastically affected post-COVID, I suppose, because we are open now. But during COVID, it definitely affected the, obviously, amount of readers that would come in, or the amount of students or scholars that would come in to use the reference library. And since not everything is digitized yet, they were sort of limited to what they could use. And that definitely impacted the way that the library was running, and is running even now. It's still not at full capacity, even in June of 2021. But I think in time, things will go back to normal. I'm back at work every single day now, back doing what I was originally hired to do. So I think things are definitely looking up in that regard. I do want to, be honest about this degree, and how I do think it might be overlooked a little bit, or maybe since so many people don't know much about it, there are so many opportunities out there for people with a public history degree. It's not just limited to teaching or even just working in a museum. I'm working in an archive at a reference library, but there's also opportunities for lots of behind-the-scenes collections management, also working in various types of libraries, museums, even like the National Park Service, anything with people, tour guides, working in collections at historic homes or anything like that. There's so many opportunities out there for somebody with a public history degree. And I'm a prime example of somebody who moved out of the United States into a whole different country, and my public history degree from UL still highly benefited my chances of getting that position. But I also did have a lot of experience in Louisiana before I moved. I did mention already the Avery Island Archives, but that was just, that was sort of a lucky break, I suppose, because that was supposed to just be the internship. But I also worked as a tour guide at Shadows on the Teche historic home for about 4 years, until I moved to the United Kingdom, and I gave tours of the home, but I also used the archives there for my master's degree as well, so I kind of got a little bit of both worlds when I was working there. And I also worked as a collections manager at the Bodleian Libraries Museum in New Iberia, which was really interesting because I was able to create an entirely new cataloging system, all of these positions, I was only able to get them because I was either in graduate school getting my degree and pursuing a degree in public history, or because I got it already. And all of these opportunities and all of the experience plus the degree really just opened up a world of opportunity for me when I entered this job market, which is a little bit different in the UK, but still a job market for somebody with a public history degree. And I do think that it definitely took a little bit extra effort, because when I moved to the UK, I had no UK experience, so I ended up volunteering at one of the local museums here, and worked part-time somewhere else. I had nothing to do with history while I was job searching, and that volunteer work, so even though I'd already gotten my degree, I had already had a full-time job, I already had all that experience, I still needed a little bit more once I got here, so I volunteered for about a year, and I learned some of the UK cataloging systems, some of their terminology that differs from ours, and started to network. I think networking is definitely an important aspect of this career path. Yeah, I definitely think maybe, or I hope, sharing all of this information and my experience, maybe if you have had any sort of doubts, or you're unsure what you want to do, or you think, oh, there's no opportunities, or I don't know what to do, there definitely is. I think it's more about just being resilient and having faith that your degree is worth it in the end. but also getting that experience and really putting yourself out there, networking, volunteering if you have to, and maybe, I love my job, dream job, and not just because it's the Bodleian Library, but because I'm working in an archive with history in my hands like I always wanted. So I hope that maybe you can take something from this, from my experience, but I hope everything is good with your experience, and best of luck with your public history degree. You'll do great. Alright, bye UL. See you next time.